Super Bowl has been decided. It will be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll be talking about that for the next few weeks. This is episode 111 of The Next Best Bet. I'm Jake Higgins with Brett Levy, as always. This episode, we have some NBA, some college basketball, some NHL as well. Brett, we do have to talk about a rough last episode, and it's key to talking about restraint because I did not show it last episode. I bet on the Packers in 4 different ways. All of them lost because the Packers lost, and I ended up going 1-5 with one postponed game, so not very good for me.
Hey, it's okay, Higgins. In gambling, you're going to have ups and downs, and, you still have a really nice record there, Higgins, and I'm proud of you. I'm still trying to climb out of my hole, Higgins, and I didn't do a good job taking 2 of the same games as you. That was a bad idea, and on both of our parts, we fell in love with the same games there, and that hurt us, but Indiana men's basketball came through for me, so go Hoosiers, I guess.
Yes, we both mention our pillars every once in a while of us being on the same lines and it not working out. Well, both the Levy Lock and the pick of the pod, you and I liked enough that we were both on those games, and you know what? They both lost. So we're going to have to go back to our basics, be a little generous, give the line to someone and stay off it for the other. So we'll get back to that, though.
I, you know what? At least we can admit it, right? Like, hey, sorry, Packers, we blew your Super Bowl chance. Sorry, it was the next best bet pod.
I guess it's our
Aaron,
fault. I'll take the
Aaron,
blame.
my bad. I'll make sure I catch that ball in the end zone next time.
Let's jump into Beginner's Boulevard because you may have been able to save yourself with the live odds, which is what we're talking about here. Real-time odds. You're betting as the game's going on. There's nothing more thrilling, exciting, and risky as some live odds, Brett.
Honestly, Higgins, live odds are the best way to bet the game because you have some information. Like, you're making actually an informed decision. You can see the flow of the game. You have an idea of what the rotations may be, if it's a basketball game, or what line is out there, if it's a hockey game, for instance, what receivers are getting the ball. So it's a way to make a really informed wager. We try and break it down pregame for you guys, but live odds, you can see it for yourself.
Yeah, and it's much more popular in European betting with soccer matches out in Europe. I believe I saw it was like 2/3 of their bets are live betting, whereas in America it's a lot more about the pre-game bets that we do over here. But I'm sure as sports betting becomes more familiar, live betting, you're right, it's more based off what you're actually seeing happen that day, and you never know how some of these professional athletes feel someday. Any day it could be a hammies tightening up or anything like that. And live betting, it can be risky though because some of those odds can be rather tempting and rather scary.
Yeah. Uh the the dream scenario I've come across, Higgins, in live odds that I've personally seen is a favorite in a hockey game. If they go down 1-0 in the first period, there's usually a little bit of a swing there, and that's a good time to hop back on a favorite because it wasn't going to be pretty the whole way out, but this team was probably going to win. So sometimes being down early, you get some good value on a heavy favorite, Higgins.
Also offers opportunities for you to go and hedge yourself as well if you go down early in those situations. I think that's enough of talking about live betting. Let's preview this Super Bowl matchup that's 2 weeks away. We talked about it right out the gate. Kansas City versus Tampa Bay. And Brett, we already have some lines out just literally minutes after that game ended between Kansas City and Buffalo.
We do. And KC's the early favorites. They're -3 right now, Higgins, with a little juice, actually, I'm seeing -115. So
hmm
I don't know about you. That feels good to me, Higgins, except for one thing. Tampa Bay is playing in their own stadium. So maybe I don't like that -3, and maybe I should reevaluate that a little bit.
Yeah, Tampa, the first team ever to be the host stadium and play in their own stadium of a Super Bowl. I mean, it's fantastic. It kind of makes these early money line plus 140 odds kind of interesting to me. I mean, I have no idea how these odds are going to fluctuate over the next 2 weeks with a coronavirus test that may come up positive, different random things. There's always randomness that happens in the days leading up to the Super Bowl that can change these odds. And I have no idea which way I am leaning right now. My gut says Kansas City, but I have to work out the numbers and see where I'm going to be at. But Tampa Bay getting to play at home is certainly interesting. I want to find out, will they be in their own locker room? Will they be on their own sideline? Or are they going to be inverted on their own stadium? Because that could be weird.
Yeah, no, that could definitely be weird going to the visitors' locker room and the visitors' sideline for Tampa, but I imagine to your point there will be a little comfort being at home, at least just seeing the normal parking attendants and saying hi to everyone that works at the stadium. At least those people are pulling for you. So there will be a little comfort. Also some comfort for Tom Brady. This will be his 10th Super Bowl appearance, Higgins. And you as a Brady hater, me as a Jet fan, not my favorite stat.
It's a bitter pill to swallow. A bitter pill to swallow to see him go to his 10th. His second team he's taking to a Super Bowl as well. Very impressive. Very impressive indeed.
And I found a little trend for us, Higgins. So
Okay.
put this down in your Android. I'll put it down in my smartphone. Set a reminder.
I've got my notes out.
27 years from now, the Bills will beat the Chiefs to head to the Super Bowl. You ready? 54 years ago, Higgins, the Kansas City Chiefs, or the team that is now the Kansas City Chiefs, beat the Buffalo Bills to head to the AFL or to win the AFL championship and play in the Super Bowl. Uh,
Okay.
27 years later, the Buffalo Bills beat the Kansas City Chiefs to go on to the Super Bowl. Then,
Okay.
obviously, on Sunday, the Kansas City Chiefs repay the favor to the Bills and take care of business, and they will head to the Super Bowl. So it seems just every 27 years, these teams meet. One team advances, then 27 years, the next team advances, then the other team goes back. So the Bills in 27 years will be playing in the Super Bowl.
Two AFC championship games and an AFL championship game, which is basically the equivalent of an AFC championship game now. So, a very interesting trend, Brett. I made sure to set the alarm on my phone. I'll probably forget that it was there, so I'm thanking you ahead of time, 27 years in advance, for this early lead on a very good, very nice nugget of a stat right there.
Yeah, I mean, if that comes home in 27 years, if you place a future on that, please text me because that'll be my greatest call in sports betting history. No.
I'll make sure to save this video at least so we have it and it's dated and everything. How about that?
Perfect.
But
Perfect.
let's talk about something a little closer into the future. Monday's hockey, for example. And Brett, on Sunday night, we don't have a lot of lines to talk about other than the Senators versus the Canucks.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed to see there wasn't more lines out, but that's okay. We got one game in the North Division here. The Canadian division's been a lot of fun so far. Ottawa surprised me a little bit, Higgins. They've been better than I thought.
Yeah, so Monday we have Senators versus Canucks. It's actually the only game of the day, so that's why we
Oh,
have only that line.
my bad.
No worries. But I am actually favoring the Canucks at home. They're minus 150 favorites on the money line, and that's where you're going to find me. And it's a hard pick considering we have two teams that have not performed well so far this season. We have an Ottawa team that's 1-3-1, 0-1 on the road. We have a Vancouver team that's 2-5, 1-2 at home. But you know what? Both of these teams have basically showed they can't stop a puck from going into the net, and only one of these teams have really showed an offense that is really capable of putting the puck in the net at high volume. The Canucks average 3.4 goals per game. Ottawa averages 2.8. Both of these teams average 4 or more goals a game against them. So it's a rough pick, but I'm going to take the home team, Vancouver, minus 150 on the money line. It's a tough hockey pick, but I felt like I had to make one tonight.
Yeah, hey, why not? I would take the home team there too. I don't really have a great feel for it, Higgins. Although you kind of had me leaning over 6, even with the juice. Both teams averaging 4 goals against, so that has me thinking this one's going to be around 7 or 8. But uh, I'm not feeling strong enough about it to bet Ottawa, Vancouver. Also, I'll probably be watching the NBA and college hoops. Let's be honest, Syracuse plays.
Yeah, I was looking at that over under as well, and to be honest, I'm just not confident in both teams' offenses enough to see that they're going to be on either side. I mean, the defenses, they've shown on the year that they're bad enough that they can let up goals to easily hit that over. These offenses, I don't trust necessarily to hit an over, but I don't trust these goalies to prevent an under. So I don't really like either side of that over under there. I'm going to take the Canucks minus 150, even though it's loaded juice, not a great return. It's still under minus 200, which I think is fair.
I I don't disagree with it. I don't disagree with it at all. I just yeah, I can't pick anything in that game, Higgins. I don't know. I don't know enough.
I feel you. Well, let's jump into our moneyline magic, Brett. Friday night, the Magic versus the Pacers had a fantastic game. I don't know if you caught this one. It was a back and forth game all night. I tried counting up all of the lead changes throughout the game, Brett, and I honestly lost count in it. So it's a lot. It was over 20. It was over 20. That's how there was a lot of lead changes. But we're just going to jump in late in the fourth. Malcolm Brogdon made a shot from right under the basket. It was like a 1-footer layup, basically. Gives Indiana a 3-point lead. But Terrence Ross goes right down, ties it with a 3-pointer, and then takes the lead on the next possession with a layup to give Orlando a 2-point lead with under a minute to go. Now, there was a back and forth. I think Pacers missed, and then the Magic missed again. Pacers get the ball. Domantas Sabonis makes a 2-pointer from short range with under 10 seconds to go, ties the game 108-108, and we head to overtime, Brett.
Yeah, I mean, Sabonis is an amazing player, Higgins. He is truly proving his value this season, I think. He's really dominating games and been a valuable player for the Pacers. And honestly, like, they gave up Paul George and they were, hoping to get back some pieces with Oladipo and Sabonis. And Sabonis is really looks like he may turn out to be a franchise piece, Higgins.
An assist away from a triple double, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists on the game. But he also had the supporting cast of Miles Turner, who had 22, Malcolm Brogdon, who had 23. Turner, who was fatigued after he's been battling an injury, though, was not in late in the fourth or in overtime. And you know what? The Magic took the early lead and they kind of dominated the pace of play throughout much of that overtime. But late in the game, Sabonis makes a layup to cut that lead to 1. And after a defensive rebound by TJ McConnell, Malcolm Brogdon, the man that led the team with 23 points, he drains a 3 in the corner to lift the Pacers to a 120-118 win. So Miles Turner would have led the team on the night if it wasn't for Malcolm Brogdon saving the day with the win.
Yeah, and you mentioned Miles Turner. He's been very good this year. Brogdon's a great player. The Pacers are a good team, Higgins. And they look to hopefully get Jeremy Lamb back at some point this year. So make it even a little bit deeper.
I
Maybe
think
Karis
this
LeVert too. Sorry.
this no, you're fine. This Pacers team doesn't necessarily have that superstar, which is fine. I think they're deep enough that it makes up for it actually, and it's a very interesting team of emerging stars and guys that are still proving their worth and who they are in this league and are very good, very talented, already have shown that. And that team, if they can take a next step and go to the next level, could be very dangerous in this Eastern Conference, I think, this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Pacers in the bubble showed that they can be dangerous. Now, Miami kind of took care of them pretty easily in the playoffs, but Oladipo wasn't 100%. Again, Lamb was out with the ACL injury, so it wasn't a 100% Pacer team. They've seemed to be a little beaten up going into the playoffs the last few years. I'd love to see them healthy going into the postseason because, like you said, they're a deep team and they're a good team when they're all healthy. They play hard. I like them a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe like them enough to get a jersey, we'll see. But today's episode is brought to you by Fanatics. Fanatics is the world's largest collection of official fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. If you enjoy our show and are looking to buy a new jersey, sweatshirt, or hat, you can support us by going to podgo.co/fanatics and getting 25% off your order. That's podgo.co/fanatics. Fanatics officially licensed everything. Brett, we were just talking about the Magic versus Pacers and Moneyline Magic. Perfect segue to jump right into our NBA here. Sixers Pistons, an interesting game. Sixers favored by 7 in this one. They are visiting Detroit, who is 3-13 this season, 2-7 at home. And I think Philly's going to cover this 7 as they're coming into town. I mean, a 12-5 team. Both of these teams against the spread have done rather well. Philly slightly better at 9-8 compared to Detroit's 8-7. So I think it'll be right around that 7 points. I don't think Philly's going to blow the doors off of the spread per se, but Detroit's not quite up to snuff with this Philly team, and they can score more than just down low, which Blake Griffin and that team are going to focus mainly on Joel Embiid, I expect. So expect this to maybe be a Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, some Danny Green corner threes maybe, but Philly -7, that's going to be my play.
Yeah, I mean, Joel's been on a tear, so I wouldn't expect him to cool off too much, but
They can
uh,
try. They can try.
they can certainly
But you're
try.
right. You're right. It's hard to stop that man.
Yeah, I'll say this, Higgins, an interesting trend I was on for a little bit there. Jeremy Grant went over his scoring prop and like something like 12. I had it at 12. I think he might have even hit 13 or 14 straight games
He's
over his
leading the
scoring
team.
total. Yeah, he finally hit an under one of his scoring props, but I'm probably going to come back around and hit that over again tomorrow. Just see if he can, keep it going because at the end of the day, he's hit 12 of his last 13. So if you hit, 13 of your last 14, no one's going to call you cold.
No word on what that player prop is yet, but for some reference, he's averaging 24.3 points per game so far this season. So Jeremy Grant having a damn nice start to his season.
Yeah, very excited. Go Cuse. Had to shout out our Cuse guy who's, cashing in some overs on this prop market.
That's the second mention of Cuse so far on this podcast. Will there be a third in college basketball? We'll see.
Yes.
All right, but let's talk about some other NBA games here, Brett. I see you like this Heat versus Nets game, another East Coast matchup.
Yeah, and I saw this game 2 nights ago, Higgins, by the time everyone's listening to this podcast. And, uh, Brooklyn won, but they didn't win handedly. So I'm going to take Miami to cover 7.5 again. Brooklyn and their big three era they're 1-2. They haven't played great defense. And Miami's a cohesive team that will pick apart bad defense. So look, I certainly think Brooklyn can win this game. I would not suggest going at Miami at the money line, although plus 265 is enticing for a team playing as poor defense as Brooklyn. But I think 7.5 feels very safe here, Higgins.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I'm not sure where I'm going to be leaning on that game. Brooklyn struggling after playing Cleveland, though, recently. I got to see a little bit more of how these three are going to gel before I'm going to start betting on them, I think.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't looked great. I don't think you can back the Brooklyn side in this game. It's Miami or nothing for me, and I like the Miami side. Another game I'm really interested in Higgins. We saw Kyrie make his return to Cleveland. He played his first game in Cleveland last week since 2017. Well, LeBron heads back to Cleveland this week, and AD has gone under 20 points in 5 straight games, Higgins. He actually said he sucks right now. That's AD talking about AD, not me talking about AD.
Good
Uh,
clarification.
yeah, I would never say that about AD. So only he can say that, not me. But I will be on the LBJ points total tomorrow, Higgins. Now, I'm going to say this. If they set that thing at 29 and a half, I'm going under. But if they set it at, 27 and a half, 28 and a half, which is a really high number, I think he still goes over that. I'm not going to touch 30 because, that's what the number I would like him to hit. But, so if they set that at 28 and a half, I'll still play that because I'm looking for him to score 30 in his hometown.
Now, I understand all the logic that you just laid out there. However, there is one thing. They are not going to Cleveland this time. They're going to Sexland.
They're going to Sexland.
As Kevin Love says, that's the team's destination right now. With Colin Sexton leading that team, he played well against that Brooklyn team, and who knows? I mean, it might be a different environment. That gym might look a little different to LeBron. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Colin Sexton's been incredible. Andre Drummond's been fantastic, but yeah, give me the Lakers. But I'm not gonna actually take the Lakers because 10 is way too many points.
So
For
there's no value
how
on the money line there at all.
no value on the money line in my mind. I think the Lakers win this one, but to your point, Higgins, and you said it great. Sexland's been great. Andre Drummond's been great. Uh, you know, so I don't really think the Lakers come in there and just pound Cleveland. I think it's a competitive game, but I do not think Cleveland has the firepower to stay with the defending champs.
All right, well, let's hop on the bus, head west on 80 and then south on 81 down to Dallas. The Denver Nuggets versus the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow. I mean, on Monday. And I like the Mavericks here. I mean, it's a 9-7 Denver team versus an 8-8 Dallas team. Two talented West Coast teams probably going to be fighting back and forth much of the game. That's why the line's so close at just 1.5 in favor of Denver. But I'm going to be on the home team, and I think that they're going to win, so I'm going to take them on the money line at plus 100. And it's simply because of how these teams have done so far against the spread. The Nuggets are 6-9 against the spread. The Mavericks are 9-6. So with the line so close, why not just take the money line instead?
Yeah, why not? Seems logical to me. Higgins get the even money, but I'm gonna stay away from that one. Uh, Certainly two MVP front runners, Jokic and Luca, competing in that one, so it should be a great game to watch. But I'm not confident enough to bet it. But I like your play. Even money on Dallas in a game that could certainly go either way. Sure, why not?
Even money for the home team's always nice in a close game like that, I think.
Yeah.
Some other games that'll be going on: Spurs versus Pelicans. There's been some interesting player props to take with the Pelicans, with Brandon Ingram, Zion, and them. But interesting to see as those pieces keep fitting together. And Timberwolves Warriors, the late game, should be interesting to see Andrew Wiggins face off against the Timberwolves.
Yeah, good point. That should be interesting. But I Steph Curry needs to average about 7 more made threes per game to pass Ray Allen this year. I don't think that is very likely, so that'll probably be a next year record. But he did just pass Reggie Miller, so Steph Curry, good for you, man! Congratulations, and I look forward to seeing you hit a few more threes against the Timberwolves Monday night.
Absolutely. And by the way, in those two games I mentioned, the Pelicans are 3.5 point favorites over the Spurs. Warriors 8-point favorites over the Timberwolves. Neither of us are on either side of those games. Just want to mention those for our listeners, though. Let's hop into some college basketball, Brett. And you mentioned them twice already, so let's start off the segment with it. Syracuse versus Virginia. Now, Brett, you're not going to find me anywhere on this game because the few times that I have been able to watch Syracuse, they've been streaky to me. They've been very streaky. Sometimes they've looked good, sometimes they've battled, sometimes they've been the typical cardiac Cuse that I know and love. So maybe you, being on the Eastern time zone, have been able to watch them a few more times than me. What do you think of this Orange team, and do they have a chance at Virginia?
I mean, I have no idea what anything about this orange team. And if you asked me a week ago, this team was dead. Now they look like they're one of the hottest teams in America, beating Miami by 20 plus, beating Virginia Tech by almost 20. So I have no idea what to expect with Cuse. My gut would say we're riding a high right now, so Virginia's going to kill us. But I don't want to bet against Q, so I'm staying away from this one. And besides, whenever I see Virginia on our schedule, Higgins, I think of this Sweet 16 game. Maybe you remember it,
I
where there
think
was
I
a
know.
pretty incredible comeback. And, sometimes you just see the names on the jerseys and you're like, I'm not going to take Virginia versus Syracuse.
Virginia is favored by 6.5 points. The over under 131. That's pretty high for a Virginia game.
Honestly, it's kind of high for a Syracuse game. I don't think we can score 60.
But it's uncharacteristic. Syracuse, they're averaging 79 points per game. Virginia averaging 73 nearly. So, I mean, if those offenses show up, then it's an easy cover. But Virginia is typically known to be a defensive game as far as I'm concerned with my history of watching Syracuse play them. So I don't know anything about that over under at 131. I'm staying far away from that. Should be a fun game to watch, though.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be watching it, Higgins. And I've been proud of the way we've been playing. I said we, but proud of the way the Cuse has been playing this year. So look forward to being on that bubble throughout all of February and hopefully getting into the tournament.
Okay, let's talk about some Big 12 action, though, Brett, because you and I are on opposite sides of this Texas Tech, West Virginia. Now, as of Sunday night, Texas Tech is ranked 12th, West Virginia is ranked 14th. That'll change on Monday for this game. But Higgins is going to be riding with Huggins. So I'm taking West Virginia minus 2.5 here with the reduced juice at minus 105. How about you?
Well, my phone autocorrects Higgins to Huggins all the time anyway, so it makes sense that you're on the Huggins. I'm riding with Chris Beard and Texas Tech, and this is really just kind of a gut feeling. Texas Tech's played a lot of close games this year, Higgins, and by close games, I mean games that have been 2 points or less. So they've played in three of them. So, uh, this is another ranked versus ranked matchup. I think this will be a close one, and I get that hook. I think this one stays inside the hook. Sure, West Virginia could win, but just don't win by three.
This is the fifth ranked game for West Virginia, by the way. They're 1-3 because they faced three top five opponents and lost to Texas, Gonzaga, and Kansas. But they did beat Richmond. And I think that they're going to get another win in their top 25 category to help even that balance out, help make a March Madness resume a little bit more full for a top seed. Minus 2.5 is not too big for me here. I do think it's going to be a very close game, a very entertaining matchup between two conference rivals basically now.
Yeah, I mean, these are good teams, Higgins. So I just think it's going to be close, and I could really see this one going either way, and that's kind of why I'm on the Tech side here.
Also, this is the fifth ranked matchup for Texas Tech. I just looked up as well, and they are 1-3. They beat Texas, lost to Baylor and Kansas and Houston.
Yeah, it was a big shot in the Texas game. Kind of a lucky shot, to be honest, but McClung hit it, and all credit to him. But sticking in the Big 12, Higgins, there's another game, and I think we're going to find you on it.
Yes, Oklahoma State versus Iowa State. Now, this isn't going to be the game of the night for that conference. Obviously, we just talked about that with Texas Tech and West Virginia. But Oklahoma State is 9-4 against a 2-7 Iowa State team. And you're going to tell me that the Cowboys are only 2.5 point favorites here? It's easy pickings for me. I'm going to take Oklahoma State here minus 2.5. I mean, they're 6-1 against the spread, so they're 500. It's a coin toss basically. Meanwhile, Iowa State's 3-6 against the spread. I don't get this line. It feels like a lot of value to me. I'm worried it's a trap, but I'm going for it anyways.
Well, Higgins, the only thing I can think of is why the spread is only 2.5 is Cade Cunningham missed Saturday's game due to COVID-19 protocols, and if he can't go versus Iowa State, that's a big loss for Oklahoma State's lineup. Now, Oklahoma State's been the better team than Iowa State this year, pretty much regardless of whether Cade Cunningham's out there or not. But that is a big loss from any lineup to lose the potential number one pick.
Yes, I mean, Cunningham is the leading scorer for Oklahoma State with 17.8 points a game, nearly 18. So that is obviously a big loss, but this feels like a game that Oklahoma State should be able to cover even without their best guy. Iowa State's just not playing well this year. Oklahoma State's been playing decently enough that they should be able to cover this without him, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll see what happens. I look forward to hopefully seeing a win on the board for you there, Higgins.
Well, thank you very much. Some other games that we also have a Pac 12 matchup Arizona State versus Arizona. Now, Brett, we saw that matchup not too long ago, so now Arizona is going to be the home team in this one. What do you think about this matchup for the late night?
Arizona State's been pretty disappointing this year, Higgins, I would say. So I I would say Zona -7 is where I'd lean, but I don't like it enough to pick it. I will not be touching this one.
Arizona won 84 to 82 in their last matchup. That was at Arizona State. So bringing it home, is that worth 5 points? I'm not sure. This is an in-state heated rivalry. That line feels pretty big. I'm not going to find myself on either side of this yet, but I might be leaning with the Sun Devils +7, to be honest. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to bring up the rivalry aspect, but Arizona State's just been a disappointing team, Higgins, and that's really why I'm leaning Zona. Not to discount the rivalry at all, but I just can't back Arizona State. Is
I
really what
understand it.
I just don't trust them.
It's hard to back a team that's lost 5 straight, that's for sure. But before we get out of here, Brett, let's talk about our Levy lock and pick of the pod. Now, we both lost last episode because of the pillars. You and I were both on both of these games, and we just picked different games as our locks and pick of the pods. Well, you know what, Brett? I'm going to go first this time because my lock is a game you and I are on opposite sides of. West Virginia -2.5, -105 reduced juice, and this is just a hometown game for the Mountaineers that I think that they're going to get this ranked matchup win. It's going to be a tough one, but these are two very qualified teams, and I think the home field advantage of West Virginia, the home court advantage, excuse me, they're not playing in a field, home court advantage, is going to help them. And Bob Huggins, you got a Higgins in your camp.
One Higgins in the Huggins camp, and I finally did it. I finally faded your pick of the pod on a podcast, so that was good. I'm glad I did that. Um, and as for me, I'm gonna be on the Heat +7.5 against the Brooklyn Nets. The Heat and Nets played on Saturday night. Brooklyn took care of business, so they didn't win by 7, but they did win, Higgins. So I expect it to be a close game again, and Again, not saying that I would go back the Heat on the money line here. I just think the Heat are competitive and will take advantage of sloppy defense.
Fair enough, fair enough. There you have it, the Levy lock and my pick of the pod. Make sure to follow us on social media. Brett's going to give out his LeBron James parlay, so make sure to find out what side of that he's on with that player prop. At NBB Pod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel as well. This has been episode 111 of the Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. Talk to you again on Thursday.